going again?
Yep.
Okay.
Going again.
Yeah, Julia's phone died, and then mine stopped recording. Okay, so what's really cool is we're actually doing this with Rado. We're using some of this stuff for his master's study. So we're doing the word clouds, which is another way of that, almost like that web that they use.
Yeah.
And it teaches them technology and like how to acquire more vocabulary and to understand the context behind the vocabulary. So like these are really good warm-ups for them. The word wall is great, especially for ELL classrooms. I mean, all classrooms can use them, but especially ELL. And those classrooms that have to know that constant vocabulary. So I was talking to the science department and they were saying how volcanoes and magma, like they really have to stress those words.
Yeah.
And so they could put those up in their classroom or have the kids do it. So then they're still doing the work, but it's up there for them to use as a resource. The four corners chart, this is something that I see a lot that's already being used, and that's where you do the picture, the definition, synonym, antonym. Or no, it's the definition and then the sentence of a word. And then word generation is word analogies, and then reading aloud, which is really helpful for all students. And having the whole class read aloud at the same time works too, usually, because then they're learning fluency and pace. Like out of breath. Okay. One of the biggest things that they talk about is teacher talk. In our classrooms, we tend to just rattle off as fast as we can instead of slowing down for students. It's hard for ELL students, and even like I noticed some of my students have a difficult time that aren't ELL understanding. So just really keeping in mind that there's different levels of language proficiency and adjusting the rate that we're speaking at in our classrooms. It makes a big difference.
So don't talk loud.
Don't talk how you and I talk, basically. Again, this just goes back to really the SIOP lesson plan and like getting the students to understand what they're learning, using the tasks in their own language, and monitoring the amount of academic vocabulary we're giving to them. So if you give them all this academic vocabulary, that they don't feel overwhelmed, that they're understanding where they're supposed to be at. Okay. So just like some examples of what you can do is shorten lecture and the information on slides. So even though I don't have a lot of information, it still can be overwhelming for them. The color choices were not the best, so that's something I would definitely fix. Give them videos, and like Google Classroom is a great technology source to review content, and step-by-step tasks written on boards. So I even do that for my gen ed kids, and I color-coded it so that they can follow what they need to.
Very colorful.
Okay. After doing the SIOP lesson plan for a certain amount of time, like an extended amount of time, you can start doing the gradual release of responsibility and build that into your lesson plan, where students, once they're understanding tasks and feeling more confident, it's not so monitored. And then, like after teaching a concept, you would kind of let them go on their own. And then if they need to ask help, they can. And they can also use their peers. So that just goes back to the discourse in the classroom. One of the things I've seen some teachers do, and I do this too, is my room's in rows, but I have a couple clumps in the center, and if they need help, they can go to the clumps to get help from their peers if they need it. Yeah. Okay. And this is just a fancy little quote. One language sets you in a corridor for life. Two languages opens every door along the way. So just like really using that to the best of their ability, like their cultural background, and emphasizing that instead of making them feel ashamed for knowing a different language besides English. So what I'm gonna have you guys do for the next 20 minutes is do your own SIOP lesson plan, and then we will evaluate them as a group. Okay?
Sounds like a plan, Stan. And you're picking it up by hand. Do you want me to pause this?
No. In like 5 minutes, I'll pause it. Like 4 minutes. Just so they can see you are working on your lesson plan.
Piece of paper? That's what I don't have. I need a piece of paper.
I have
Actually,
templates.
my lesson plans look like that.
Really? I like the features.
It was even all this right here. The different options, the scaffolding.
Yeah. Well, it makes for a much more effective lesson plan. And it talks about presenting the content objectives, which I don't think we do very often.
No, because I copied this into curriculum
Correct,
engine,
yeah.
and I
Just
like it was
filled
weekly,
it out.
and down here the sequence was, but I did it like every day. And then all those videos, so like the when you have to construct, there's actually awesome websites that literally show the ruler moving. And
Oh,
it's-
wow.
I mean,
I
and
feel like
that's
there's
what
way
it
more
had to show.
math resources for videos than English.
But it was, and that's like you can type in how to construct a parallel line, and it shows you step for step, so I can give them that to them.
Yeah.
And you can,
And they can watch it over and over. And
I kind of did like a reverse classroom.
well, and that's why I like the
or flipped classroom, not
supplementary.
reverse classroom.
Yeah.
So,
Like the breaking it down by beginner mini. Like I feel, and I have to do that more too.
yes, color coding.
All the colors. Except I have children who like to stand by my board and erase it. just keep working on that and then we'll go over it after.